In this video, we're going to be listing 6 relatively cheap games that can hold your attention for a long time for you to play in your quarantine. Let's get right into it. So the way that I compiled this list is I wanted the games to be budget friendly, because I know that there's going to be some people out of work right now. Due to current events like the coronavirus, I know that there's going to be a lot of people on a budget right now. So I wanted to keep that in mind when I recommend games. I also wanted to make sure that these games were capable of holding your attention for a while, because I'd want to have the recommended games have a lot of bang for their buck. I also wanted to add too that none of these games are exclusive to one platform, just so we can have a lot of accessibility for everybody. But while we go through this list, let me know how many of these games you've played or might even be playing right now. Alright, so let's jump into the first one. First one is going to be, and you probably guessed it if you look at the channel, Witcher 3. You don't have to look too extensively to find out how much I enjoy this game. If you don't know though, I'll leave a link up at the top of the screen right now to the video that explains my personal connection with this game. I'll also make sure to leave a link in the description for that as well. But this game is just an incredible game if you're looking for a extensive RPG set in a fantasy universe with interesting characters, and honestly one that has a pretty long campaign that can hold your attention for a pretty extended amount of time. I know I personally put around 80 hours into my first playthrough of this game, and that was without doing the DLCs. But like I put in my first video that I posted here on YouTube, I understand this game is difficult to get into. It personally took me a full year of taking a break, of thinking that I hated this game, to eventually get into it and find out that it's my favorite game. So I mean, it's very polarizing. So what I'd recommend is really just give this game a shot, like an honest shot, and really try to play a couple hours before you really rule it out. Sure, you're not going to know all of the characters right away unless you like look everything up, but just give yourself a chance to open up to them. After I finally got enough recommendations from friends, I just decided to do just that, and I ended up loving the game. But with the popularity of this series, just because of things like the Netflix series coming out, it brought a real resurgence towards people playing and being interested in this game. So let me know. I've actually been thinking about making a video, doing a story synopsis up to the point of The Witcher 3, to catch people up to speed so they can jump straight into it and know what's going on. If you're interested in that, tell me down in the comments down below. But ultimately, I've put a lot of time into promoting this game already. So I'll just say, the price right now is about 40 bucks on Steam if you're looking to get it if you don't have it yet. But I do also know this game goes on sale pretty often on every single platform it's on. So if you're looking to buy it on PS4, Steam, GOG, whatever it is, just go ahead and wait for a sale. It'll happen. And typically, it'll cut down the price to somewhere around 20, 30 bucks, which is less than half of the price of a normal AAA title. So if you ask me, 80 hours of fun gameplay for about $20 to $40, that's pretty fair. So I really would recommend, if you like this genre, check it out. Really give it a fair shot. But let's just go ahead and jump into the second game. And that is going to be Minecraft. Most people already have this game. Right now an account is only $26.95, which is pretty cheap. And this game just gives you plenty of opportunities of what you can do. The only limitations is your own creativity and how much time you want to put into this game. I personally played this game for the first time back in middle school, like 11 years ago, when the game was in beta. I played it a lot then, and I've kind of went back and forth trying it and then dropping it because I get burnt out for years, but I hadn't played it for a really long time and recently decided to go back. And I sunk a lot of time into it because all of the improvements they made were honestly pretty fun and really made the game more interesting. If you haven't looked for a while, I'd really recommend watching maybe some YouTube videos or something like that of all the things that they've added to the game since when you last played. It's going to be subjective for each person, but honestly, I found myself having a blast trying to catch up and do all the new stuff that they added. It was a lot of fun. Cool thing about it too is it's pretty accessible to play with friends. There's still a lot of weirdness if you were familiar with the way that servers worked before. That's still pretty much there, but they added a service called Realms, and that service is only $8 a month. So generally, you play with a group of friends, and it's a world that anybody can log onto at any point. No one has to be the host. And something that I did was I played with 4 different friends, and we split that $8 a month 4 ways. So it ended up being $2 a month per person, which is really reasonable. No, you can't do mods, but I mean, there's a lot more content now. And honestly, if you give this a shot and you don't like it that much, the worst that happens is you paid $2 for a month. And you can cancel it at any time, so it's not like you're really locked into anything too crazy. Overall, I'd just say give it a shot. Most of your friends probably already have the game. Just play with them, see if you like it, see if you can get back into it. But let's just jump into the next game, which is going to be Risk of Rain 2. If you're not familiar with this game, it's a horde mode style of game. So something like, Call of Duty Zombies or the horde mode on like Halo or whatever you played. You've probably played one of these before. But if not, it's basically you fighting wave after wave after wave of enemies, and you just keep going until you die. This game does offer co-op, so you can play with up to 4 players at a time, giving you another way to play with your friends right now while you can't physically see them. And essentially with this game, you just keep upgrading your character by unlocking chests with the in-game currency or whatever you can to unlock the upgrades, and those upgrades will stack on top of each other and make your character pretty overpowered. But in turn 2, the game is constantly scaling up the difficulty every single second. So the more time that you spend in it, the harder the game is going to be. So essentially the gameplay loop is you want to get onto a world, defeat enemies to get the currency in the game, unlock chests to get unlockables and upgrades, and then once you feel confident that you've done everything you want to do on that planet, you find a teleporter. When you activate the teleporter, it will spawn a boss, beat the boss, and then move to the next world. And you just keep doing that until your entire party is wiped. It's honestly a pretty fun game that I've played for a good amount of hours. I really do think it's an easy way to get your friends to play together, especially because the game is only $20, and that's on most platforms, making it pretty easy to convince them to only drop $20 to play together. So if you want a cooperative, multiplayer, horde mode shooter, give this a shot. But let's go ahead and jump into game 4, and that's going to be Wargroove. Wargroove is a strategy tile-based game, similar to something like Advanced Wars or Fire Emblem. If you played these types of games, you command your army, each individual unit, and you can move them on certain tiles, have them attack other units and stuff like that. So in this game, it's closer to Advanced Wars, where you actually purchase your units, and you can do that per round. Then you can command those said units to attack the other army. You can capture certain command posts, you can capture certain towns, the towns will give you income, the command posts or barracks will give you more access to recruiting more units. And then eventually, the way to end the round or beat the game is to defeat the enemy's commander or to take their stronghold. Now this campaign is actually pretty hard. I mean, that or I'm just bad, I don't know which one. But I've been stuck for hours on certain missions because the missions aren't so repetitive in the way that your entire goal is always to take the stronghold or the commander. Sometimes it's to save your commander, like get them out of the battlefield, or to hold a specific spot on the map for a certain amount of turns. So the game really likes to spice it up and change things on you and give you new challenges. Overall, the art design is really awesome in this game. It's like kind of retro pixely, but they did a really good job to make the animation and the sprites really lively and honestly really pleasant to look at. But the cool thing about this game too is if you beat the campaign, or even if you don't, there's also access that the devs gave to the players to create your own campaigns and levels. So if you're the type of person that wants to sink time into that, you can, or you can play other people's games and levels. There are certain people that have actually made an entire Advanced War campaign, or multiple of them, and Fire Emblem campaigns. So meaning that you can play other strategy games within this strategy game. Overall, this game's also pretty cheap. It's $14 in Steam right now because of a sale, so you have to get it quick. It's about $20 everywhere else. I personally play this game on the Switch because I like the portable aspect. It kind of reminds me of playing Advanced Wars on the Game Boy, but it's really down to personal preference, and I really do recommend checking it out. It's another game you can play with your friends, you can battle it out, see who's better than the other person, and it's pretty fun. So let's move on to the next game, game number 5, which is Stardew Valley. So if you're looking to play something pretty laid back, maybe something like a farming game, you're not really wanting to play Minecraft, that or you just don't want to sink $60 into Animal Crossing right now, maybe check out Stardew Valley. It's only $15, making it pretty cheap. And honestly, there's a lot more depth than just a farming game here. Your character can, yes, farm, it can get different animals, you can make relationships with the townspeople, you can complete quests, you can adventure, you can mine, you can go fishing. Ultimately, it is much more of a relaxing, laid-back game. It's not really super action-oriented for sure, but honestly, there's a lot here for most people. I really didn't think I would like this game and was pretty convinced I was never going to get it, until my friends finally talked me into it, and I actually really like the game a lot. I ended up sinking a little more than 40 hours onto it, and I mean, that's actually a small amount of time compared to a lot of other people. It's another one of those games that doesn't have really a clear objective or ending. Really, you decide when that is, so you can just keep going and going and going and building more of an income, more of a farm, whatever you really are ultimately trying to achieve. There's not really a set limit. So check it out if that sounds like your sort of thing, or maybe watch some YouTube videos to just make sure that it is or isn't. Alright, so wrapping that one up, let's get to the last game, game number 6, which is Divinity Original Sin 2. If you've ever felt limited by any sort of RPG that you play, or felt like you didn't really get to make the decisions you wanted to, you're definitely not going to have that problem if you play Divinity. This game is incredibly open, incredibly player-focused, I guess is a way to put it. The world really builds around what your decisions are. If you've ever wanted to go steal an item off of an NPC but it won't let you in the game. If you've ever wanted to kill a certain NPC because they annoy you. If you've ever wanted to go to a certain area but you can't. Pretty much all of those things are not existent in Divinity. This is a fantasy RPG through and through, so just know you're going to be, wielding swords, shooting crossbows, bows, using magic. If that's your sort of thing, really do check out this game. It's got an incredibly long campaign that usually takes people a minimum of 80 hours. But you can build your party with NPCs that are in the game, or even with your friends, and you can customize said characters as much as you want. Say you really like a character, but you don't like that they're a knight? Fine, make him an archer. If you don't like that mage, you can make him a necromancer. That was a bad example, but you get my point. Overall, just the freedom this game gives is pretty alluring to most people that play these types of games. But I do want to warn people that are thinking about playing with their friends, just make sure you're pretty like-minded with the group you're going to go into with. Because honestly, if you're going to be frustrated with a character stealing something they shouldn't, causing a conflict, killing a character you don't want them to, making a big decision that's going to affect the world, and you don't trust them not to do things that are going to just generally annoy you, then seriously, and this is from experience, just don't play with those people. That, or maybe do one playthrough on your own and then play with them. Honestly, I really, really strongly recommend this. I ended up getting burnt out in this game for a really long time just because of exactly that. I played with a friend group, we weren't like-minded, I still play with them generally daily, just not this game. This is actually the most expensive game on the list right now, but that's just current pricing. This game does go on sale on various different sites and platforms. Right now it's sitting at about $45 on Steam, but it's seriously an incredible game that I need to put way more time into, so I figured I'd recommend it here. But that's going to be the last game on this list. So wrapping this video up, let me know how many of these games you've already played or might even be currently playing right now. Then let me know which games I might have missed, ones that you think should have been recommended for the same sort of reasoning that I put for this list. Make it budget friendly, also make it a long game, or at least have enough depth for people to be able to play it multiple times. But comment that down below and join the conversation. Also, just wanted to say that I really appreciate all the support from everybody so far. It's made it very incredible to come back and make videos and still have an audience waiting for me, and even people willing to become new audience members. So if you're one of those people that might have watched a couple of these videos or just really enjoyed this one and think you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to me. It really helped grow the channel and I'd really appreciate it. Maybe while you're there, if you could like the video, comment. That also helps the algorithm a lot. But overall, that's pretty much all I wanted to say for this video. So thank you so much for hanging around, watching the video all the way through, and I'll see you in the next one.